footballing royalty on the phone. Joe Montana on Tim and Sid. Joe, is this in fact the real Joe Montana? Is this you?
I'm not sure. I can't remember anymore.
It's an honor, Joe. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on today. You are in town. You are in Toronto, and this is something the NFL has been doing the last few years to kind of get the juices flowing for an NFL season to come. I mean, as a guy who knows the game very well and been removed for a couple of years, do you still get excited about opening night?
Yeah, I played the game for so many years, and even since I was 8 years old. So it's just a game that there's none other like it. And when it comes around, the thing I like the most about it is that not only is it exciting, but every week is vital. I don't mean to hurt baseball fans, but when you have 162 games, you're not always looking forward to the next one that they play. Where here, everybody can't wait from week to week, to the point where now they had a Monday night, now they're going to Thursday nights, and then when college is over, they start mixing in a Saturday, just because people love the game, watch the game.
You played for a long time, but you also have a well-rounded life, if I'm reading correctly in the last little while. But is there something in your DNA and your metabolism that when it hits this time of year, the juices just get flowing for Joe Montana, even though you've been away from the game for a while?
Well, yeah, I think the anger gets flowing more than anything because that you're still not playing,
right.
And disappointment. But yeah, I mean, this is a fun time of the year. There's nothing like the NFL, and the college season kicks in right behind it. But still, there's when the big daddy's in town and it gets going. That tells you it's football season.
One of the things that I've learned from talking to former athletes is that a lot of former elite athletes struggle in retirement. From a lot of the things that I've read about you over the last few years, you aren't one of those guys. Do you agree? And if so, why?
Well, initially it was hard. The first 2 years especially, it was really hard watching games. And just because that you'll never get a chance to go back to it. You'll never have the same excitement. And I always say I wish everyone had a chance to play one Sunday afternoon so they could feel what it was like, win or lose. It doesn't matter. Just that excitement that's on the field and the things that take place and, the trust that you need and the camaraderie and all the ups and downs during the game. There's nothing like it that I've found. And there's no going back to it. So I think it's hard frustration-wise because of that, it's like I've never smoked, but everybody says quitting smoking cigarettes cold turkey is about as hard as it comes, and I can only imagine that football is not far off of it because as soon as you're done, it's over. There's no more, period. So I think it's hard on everyone. But yeah, I made a transition. I had two boys that were playing, so following them around kind of helped ease it, even though it was frustrating to watch because you have no control over it. And you had to listen to other parents in the stands. That's the hard part.
Oh, wow. I can imagine that would be the hard part.
I have no idea what they're talking about.
Like, do you just want Joe walk up to someone and say, "Hey, I'm Joe Montana. Shut up. I know what's going on here. Shut your trap."
Yeah, I've had my wife to calm me down a couple
times. Joe Montana here on Tim and Sid. Joe, there was an article written, I believe, by an ESPN reporter on Michael Jordan a couple years ago. And when the article was being written, it was in the heat of an upcoming Peyton Manning-Tom Brady game. I believe it was an AFC title game. Mm-hmm. So ESPN for 7 days is talking about Brady versus Manning. And the writer sees Michael Jordan watching some of this. And Michael leans back and says, "What about Joe Montana? Like, what's going on here?" Like, they're talking about Brady and Manning as if they are the two greatest quarterbacks to ever walk the face of the earth. And his point was, we're easy to forget sometimes in this modern sports age. Mm-hmm. Do you ever hear that kind of talk about the greatest of all time, Manning and Brady and guys of that ilk in this new modern media age and get frustrated? Does that ever happen?
No, not really. You sit there and you look around and everybody. I always get the question, who do you think was the greatest? And I just don't think you can say that in our game. I can go back and everyone says, well, it's a lot easier to play now than when I played. When the guys who played before me say it was a lot easier to play when I played than when they played. And in some cases, you can go way back and even the ball was a different shape. And then I watched some footage of guys like Sammy Baugh and Otto Graham, and yeah, I mean, those guys were ahead of their time. I mean, I'm trying to remember which one ran around crazy, and one of them won like 7 or 9 titles in a row. It's nuts. And it's hard to compare those guys to those guys. Try to compare to today's players. It's almost impossible. Because, like I said, what they were able to do to wide receivers back then, they throw them in jail for today. So I just think it's hard. I just say, hey, it's a different era. The game's changing. Just enjoy the guys who are playing now, and let everybody has their little piece. It's time that they played, and let it be at that.
4-time Super Bowl.
Hard to judge.
Sorry, Joe.
No, it's all right.
Didn't mean too hard to judge.
Don't interrupt Joe.
I know. I just
Yeah,
did that, and I feel
Talk
awfully.
to you again.
4-time Super Bowl champ Joe Montana. So who do you watch and say, if I were playing in the game right now, I would want to be like this guy?
Well, I don't really do that.
Yeah.
What I look for is like games like tonight. The game tonight will be, Green Bay and Seattle, good teams, good quarterbacks. And I like to watch those kind of games. And sometimes I want to catch somebody new that's playing. I caught a little bit of the guy of Carr playing in with the Raiders.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to see a little bit more of him playing. And I don't know. I like to pick some of the younger guys, but I also like to watch some of the bigger matchups. If one guy's playing against like a weaker team, I'm really not interested in watching that as much. If like you get Peyton on somebody you just know they're going to blow out, it's just not as much fun.
But there's like
being Peyton at that point, but it's not fun watching.
Sure, it's fun for Peyton, 5 touchdown passes in, right?
Yeah.
Joe Montana here on Tim and Sid. NFL season gets going tonight. It is the Packers. It is Seattle, and none of us can wait for it. Hopefully, it comes soon. Joe, you're a head coach in this league today, and you have to win one game, and you can pick any quarterback. Who do you pick?
Pick myself.
Correct answer.
We already said that on this show
Correct
today.
answer.
That's the only person I know I can trust.
I was expecting Johnny Manziel.
See, Peyton would be trying to call his own plays. Tom would be trying to throw the ball down the field. So I have to pick myself.
I was reading that you're heavily involved in investing in tech startups in California, something some folks call an angel investor. How'd you get involved with something like that? And is that the kind of thing that gives you close to the same sort of rush that you had while playing the game?
We actually just got back into this. We just started. Years ago, I was involved in a company with 2 of the guys I played with, and we did venture fund of funds, hedge fund of funds, leverage buyout fund of funds, and real estate fund of funds. And I eventually left the company early with about $900 million under management because I wanted to watch my boys' practices and I wanted to go to the games, and I didn't want to. I felt bad leaving early when the other guys were doing a lot of work, still raising money, and I don't know. I just got back to where I wasn't traveling quite as much. Mm-hmm. And I ran into a guy that I knew for a long period of time, and he got me kind of back involved, a guy named Ron Conway, and been helping mentor, our oldest son as he comes out of college and with his finance degree and looking for places to go. Actually, he's going to work for a startup here pretty soon. And but it's just fun. It's just fun looking at the new stuff, and it's fun having someone like some younger guys around you saying, okay, this is the newest thing in technology, because, their hands are on it every day. But it's still fun to go and listen to a bunch of companies pitch and see where the new things that are coming out or that are working their way out.
Out of curiosity, Joe, what are the new things they're telling you about? Just, it's just the 3 of us. No one else is listening. I got a pen here. So, all right, there's Apple. Apple's good.
I think that's a new thing.
That's a new thing. Google.
Yeah.
What? All right. So, Joe,
I can't tell you.
Oh, you have to kill me, right? You'd have to kill me if you told me. There you go.
No, I just have to wound you.
Just maim me so I couldn't speak further. There you go. There you go.
Well, you get Ronnie to do that for you.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It's a pleasure to have Joe Montana here on Tim and Sid. Joe, to start every season, we look at the defending champ, and the stat is pretty clear. It is very rare for a team to repeat in this league. You did it in 88, 89. The last team to do it was the Patriots. Why do you think it's so difficult?
Well, it's hard to hold a team together, first off. Usually when you have a team like this now with the salary caps, a lot of guys take off, obviously looking for more money, and rightfully so, because the careers could end tomorrow, and everybody thinks everybody should be loyal to the team, but the team's never loyal to you, and so you got to do what you can, because the average career in the NFL is under 4 years, so you got to take advantage of it while you can, and that's the first difficulty. The other one is trying to keep everybody healthy, even if you can keep them after long seasons. A couple of them back-to-back. Sometimes you don't even have to go to the Super Bowl. Maybe you played in the playoffs the year gone deep 2 years before that. Then you go to the Super Bowl the next year. And, you just guys get beat up and worn out, with how physical the game is today. So I think those are the toughest ones. And sometimes you get complacent a little bit on top of that because, hey, we won one. And then you start thinking about winning another one a little too late because all these opportunities come your way and you start doing things instead of preparing yourself. And so you put all those together and it makes it very difficult.
Joe, a line you hear a lot of, and not just in the NFL, but when you win, teams will say, well, we're getting every team's best here. We're the top dog, the target's on our back. Is that true when you win?
Yeah, well, everyone wants to beat the guy who won it all. If they can validate how well they're doing, if they can beat that team. And yeah, there is not so much a target, but you get the best of everybody, at least in the beginning parts of games, until you show them that they're wrong, or you show them that they do have a chance. So you as the champion have to be able to fight off that first surge and let them know that you're still there for real. Or if they see weakness, it's dog eat dog, as they say.
And there's some milk-bone jerseys out there.
Yep. Yep.
Let me ask.
Cleveland.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the defending champs, the Seattle Seahawks, who played tonight to kick off the season. And Russell Wilson, to me, is such an intriguing quarterback because he does things at times that show you his talent, but he doesn't necessarily have to do them. And there's so many people out there that want to see statistics before they label you elite, even though you win and you just won the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts on a guy like Russell Wilson and the job that he's done in limited time in Seattle?
Well, I think he's done a tremendous job in the time he's been there. And I don't see him as that one Super Bowl wonder. I think he's going to continue to play at a high level, just by not only his demeanor, but the things that he does and the way he plays the game and the way he approaches the game. There were other guys who, when he has to make throws and he has to make plays down with his arm, he can make them. There were guys who have played and have gone before that have done nothing but really manage the games. And those, I think, are the people they talk about more, but I don't think he's one of those guys by far. He's a player.
That's high praise.
Yeah.
I'd retire now if Joe Montana said that about me. Joe Montana here on Tim and Sid. Joe, you love the game. We love the game. Everyone loves, based on the ratings, everyone loves watching the game. They'll probably set another ratings record tonight on NBC. But nothing's perfect. If you could change one thing about the NFL, on the field or off it, what would it be?
That's a good question. Oh, boy.
If you want us to stall a little bit so you can have some time to think
by the way, the greatest
about
quarterback of all time, Joe
I really
Montana.
don't have I really don't, anything off the top of my head obviously, if you want to get player to NFL relations, there are a lot of things you could change there that would make things better in the long run and take care of the players better after that.
Right.
Because a lot of the reasons the careers are so short are injuries. And until they face that fact that there's something that has to be done at some point in time and some responsibility to it, then there'll always be issues between the players and that. But I think that's the biggest issue that a player has is, hey, even after I've had it, even if I make it a long time, I still, it was going to get insurance. It was costing me $100,000 just, for health insurance than didn't include anything that was injured during my career.
Wow.
So those are the things I think. Other than that, the game I think is fun. It's fun to watch.
Do you ever worry that the game you love, parents might start saying that their kids can't play that game?
I think it's getting to that point to a certain degree. I think you'll see a lot of that happening. We're in kind of a catch-22. We're making better equipment, but the problem is sometimes better equipment is not always the answer. It may be making worse equipment to get people to not feel so safe.
Right.
We keep building better stuff, and people feel more and more safe that they can do things, and that's not always necessarily the case. And so you have these high-speed collisions, and you try to find ways to cut them down and do the best that you can, from the NFL side. But yet you don't want to take too much away from the game by doing it.
Before we let you go, last one. Have you seen the statue inside the brand new Levi's Stadium at the museum for the 49ers of you and Bill Walsh? And what'd you think?
I have not. I've seen a little picture of it.
Yeah.
I'm actually going there not this weekend, but the following weekend.
Nice.
For a game, so I will see it.
Well, maybe we can get you to report back in when you do see it.
Hey, Joe, what's etiquette if you don't like the statue?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work? Like, it's nice that they put it up, but what if you just don't think it looks like you, or you have other critiques? Like, who do you go to?
I'll just have somebody push me into it, and I'll knock it over.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Joe, really appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Tim and Sid.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.